Хм, Так. Хм, Так. Ну что ж, хайп, да, ну снова до нас остается 15 минут, целых 15 минут. Я, к сожалению, не успел сделать видео с своими желаниями по новому аддону, потому что я, как всегда, ну, прокрастинация победила, поэтому только я в последние пару дней начал им заниматься. Ну, просто чтобы было понятно, наверное, сейчас покажу. Пока можете посмотреть на эту картинку традиционную. Я не знаю, что здесь делает Тейлор Свифт. Видимо, она имеет какое-то значение. Да, уже много сливов было по поводу аддона. Сейчас вот слили сегодня что-то тоже. Я особо не вдавался в подробности, но Клаб, сука, написал прям заголовки. За шо. А, Вот, собственно, проект. То есть я тут совсем немного сделал, буквально на 5 минут, получается, да. При этом материал у меня где-то минут на 30. Я, типа, я думал, к понедельнику, может, успею все-таки закончить, но нет. Но нет, я сделал не на том экране, к сожалению, список, который я сейчас перенесу. Так, текст. Вот все, я перенес. Можно закрывать. Так, вебку куда-нибудь сюда. Чё хочу. Трансляция уже идет. Отсчета пока нет, правда. Ух ты, как счетчик вертится. Лол. Так, тут у нас будет... а, как это? Я забыл слово. В общем, текстом. На всякий случай. Все-таки как-то просто в углу она такой себе. Можно погоду будет посмотреть, например. Еще. Я зашел на стрим Альвионы. Это ГМ Exorsus, который сейчас не рейдит, правда. И хочу для начала его пункты откомментировать. Ну, тут все понятно, что, как мне кажется, будет на практике. Типа, ну, это по стандарту, континент рейды, бла-бла-бла. Новый класс, связанный с драконами. Если будет дополнение про драконов. Я, на самом деле, не думаю, что... Его логика была в том, что, ну, типа, вот, каждый аддон, где добавлялся класс был в стилистике. Но если мы возвращаемся на Азерот, это открывает куда больше пространства, чем просто тематика драконов. Поэтому могут добавить и тинкеры спокойно. Механика. Изменение текущих старых систем, таланты или скиллы. Ну, я бы не отнес это к тому, что точно будет на практике, на самом деле. Все-таки есть у меня опасения, что эпоха застоя на 3 аддона может продлиться и четвертый. Есть такая вероятность. Далее, 10-15 ман рейдинг, как основной формат. Он там много объяснял про это. Пустить вебку пониже, пожалуй. Он там много про это объяснял, но я не думаю, что Blizzard опять же на это пойдут, как он не думает. Потому что в свое время отказ от 25-ок и переход на 20-ки, даже не учитывая то, что отказались еще и десяток, вот если говорить просто про переход на 20-ки от 25-ок, это был сильный удар, и многие жаловались. Потому что, допустим, у вас был ростер уже много лет, и тут у вас 5 человек просто отлетают. Ну, это не весело. А тут еще 5 человек отлетят. Как бы да, меньше формат рейтинга это более весело. Но 10 человек это совсем безумие. Это нормальный рейд с таким не создать. Это надо затачивать именно под 10 человек, но это будет уже, ну, там каких-то сложных челленджей, как по мне, не создать. Поэтому издревле, простите, формат рейдинга в десятках был он скорее казуальным. Пытались его сделать, ну, типа, на уровне с большим рейдингом в Катаклизме и Пандаре, но это все, в общем-то, провалилось. Тема развития персонажа, привязанные на аккаунт. Ну, то есть, я такой человек, который, когда создает нового персонажа, я привязываюсь к персонажам, поэтому мне не очень нравится идея того, чтобы все было расшарено на аккаунт. Потому что когда я захожу на нового персонажа, мне будет странно ощущать, что там уже прокачаны репутации, там уже прокачаны все системы, я поэтому против этого. Но если отсечь это, мой личный параметр, не параметр, опять же слово забыл, если отсечь это, а как создавать такие системы? Потому что будут люди, у которых там по 20 персонажей на сервер, условно, или сколько там максимальное количество, и они готовы ебашить 24/7. То есть они сделали все на одном персонаже, на втором, на третьем, 10 и так далее. И что дальше? Типа, как рассчитывать системы в плане прокачки? Это либо жесткий гейтинг, что делает, в общем-то, смысл игры на многих персонажей, это, просто как скинчик сменить. И то, это надо специально создавать системы под это, переделывать ту же систему репутации, потому что система репутации сейчас так не работает. Либо делать жесткий гейтинг на аккаунт, что, опять же, а в чем-то смысл остальных персонажей? Просто скинчик сменить панель скиллов? Мне такая идея лично не нравится. Музыку подрубили. Так, у нас есть 10 минут, соответственно, чтобы обсудить. Сразу уменьшу громкость, так сказать. Что там обычно 15.5. Надеюсь, меня будет слышно достаточно. Так, отказ от Borrowed Power. Это да, это абсолютно да. Грин-система должна давать небольшой прогрессивный бонус и косметический. Все, сразу получаться тривиальной эссенции. Эссенция действительно хорошая система была. Но то, что получаться тривиально, доступно сразу, это вопрос. Чтобы прям сложно было, нет, этого не надо. Но какой-то челлендж, условно, должен быть. Больше я постараюсь побыстрее, потому что у меня свои пункты еще. Больше эксклюзивной косметики, титулов за особые достижения. Это про PvE в первую очередь. Да, потому что в PvP это есть, почему-то его нет в PvP. У меня своя претензия к тому, что ты можешь завалить сейчас лича в 25-ки и получить крутой титул. При этом ты не будешь отличаться от человека, который сделал это в актуале. В этом нет никакого смысла. Я бы удалил, наоборот, все эти звания, которые получили люди после актуала, чтобы они стали именно вот таким, типа, кромкой. Челленджи. Это про Mythic Plus. Я, наверное, не буду даваться подробности. Это, короче, такой, типа, режим, типа, возвращения челленджей, чтобы это был соревновательный... чтобы это было соревнованием, а не Myth Plus. Myth Plus это просто для развлечения было бы. Я не знаю, типа 50-50 к этому отношусь. Больше альтернативных активитет с продуманной системой наград, не лутом. То числе казуалов. У меня будет своя идея по этому поводу, так что попозже. В принципе, да. Реворд классов. Брать полностью классовый баф. Я не согласен с классовый баф, как по мне, достаточно неплохо работают. Реворд классов, конечно же, да. Классификационно, да. Кастомизация визуала спеллов. Шоп из-за достижения. Шоп, мне кажется, такое, потому что у нас есть зеленое пламя, у нас есть символы, которые меняют. Музыка из лича. У нас есть символы, которые меняют визуалки спеллов. И тут это вводят в шоп еще к тому же. Это будет, типа, попахивает чем-то... Попахивает, скажем так, бурлением говн. Изменение интерфейсов, характерных систем, социализация. По поводу рекрутинга гильдии, я даже не знаю, на самом деле, это уж фанаты делают по большей части. Не думаю, что даже Близам стоит стараться над этим, потому что сколько они раз не пытались что-то сделать с гильдиями, у них всегда ничего не получалось. Возможно, у них не хватает ресурсов, чтобы толково это проработать. Не знаю. Player Housing меня никогда не прельщала идея игровых домов. Домов игроков. Типа, будет и будет, не будет, мне пофиг. Изменение интерфейсов. Типа, можно с этим что-то сделать, потому что интерфейс все-таки он делался под 4:3, маленькие мониторы, 15-дюймовые, там, с разрешением 1024-768. В сегодняшних реалиях это уже не то. Так, с этим закончили. Теперь поговорим про мои пункты. Здесь вот так будет лучше видно. Что хочу, так сказать. Я еще хочу добавить сюда конкретно... Давайте по каждому пункту. Обновление локаций. Я написал огроменный сценарий, на самом деле 17 страниц по поводу этого, ролик на полчаса. Блин, все меньше времени. Что у нас? Ванила до Катаклизма прошло 6 лет. С Катаклизма до Нового Аддона пройдет 12. Это в 2 раза больше времени. Кроме того, графические локации не сильно улучшились с Катаклизмом, поэтому они выглядят просто ужасно, отвратительно. Учитывая, что еще обновляются модельки постепенно с каждым аддоном, начиная с Дренора. И вот этот контраст между модельками и старым миром, он огромный. Плюс квадратные облака, это ужасно. Соответственно, что можно сделать? Можно обновлять, то есть сейчас нет столько ресурсов, как во времена Лича, очевидно, у разработчиков. Локации можно обновлять постепенно и добавлять их еще к тому же в актуальный контент, чтобы их отбивать затраты на них. Как это сделали с Арати и темными берегами на фронтах. То есть там будут, не знаю, локалки, делики, какие-нибудь рарники с косметикой, вот это вот все. Если вкратце. Редизайн геймплея. Это понятно. У нас 3 аддона, один и тот же геймплей. Всем надоело. Во времена катаклизма Пандарии Дренора постоянно что-то менялось. Незначительно. Не было такого жесткого реворка, как в Катаклизме или Легионе. Но менялось постоянно. Поэтому я бы хотел вернуться к такой схеме. Или даже хотя бы к схеме а-ля классическая трилогия, когда просто постепенно все улучшалось. Без заимствованной силы на аддон. Это очень важное уточнение, потому что на аддон у Близов не получается делать систему заимствованную. Потому что только они ее починят, уже надо делать новую с нуля. Это полный бред. Зато есть, допустим, система шифров в Зелет Мортисе. Она довольно интересная. Можно сделать... То есть она работает тупо на открытый мир. Что можно сделать? В принципе, открытый мир можно сделать своей веткой игры, как ключи, рейды, ПВП. То есть своей системой развития какой-то, своими плюшками, своей, возможно, косметикой даже, титулами, прочим говном. Это было бы достаточно интересно увидеть. Я не знаю, что будет делать с этим Blizzard, но если Zereth Mortis это такой бета-тест перед новым аддоном, я, в принципе, буду рад. Новый класс, понятно. Никакого некроманта. Некроманта там холли ДК. Скорее всего, будет Тинкер, я думаю. Потому что, все уже... Это все хотят. Что еще? Тинкер. Что еще? Сейчас сценарий открою. Блин. Меньше времени, чтобы все объяснить. Я хотел этого рейнджера, Дарк Рейнджера, типа Сильваны, Волджина, это вроде как Дарк Рейнджер и все. То есть мили-спек, РДД-спек, вот это все. Какой-нибудь акцент на темной магии и вообще на разных видах магии. Новые спеки. Шаман-танк, Варк-гладиатор. Что еще? Я, наверное, просто сценарий сюда перенесу. Некромант, как спек ДК, допустим, если очень хочется некроманта. И так далее. Новые характеристики. Давненько у нас с Дренора одни и те же характеристики, только убрали мультистрайк в Легионе. Но это скучновато, можно поэкспериментировать с этим. В этом моя основная мысль. ЛФР на прокачке как инсты. В инсты я могу сходить на прокачки через рандом, через ЛФД-систему, ЛФГ. У ЛФР нельзя почему-то. Да, это сюжетно происходит уже после капа. Но, почему? Какая разница? Дайте игрокам возможность сходить на прокачки в рейды. Переработка сложностей. Удалить нахер героик, потому что он бесполезен. Его функция выполнялась... В принципе, он стал бесполезен ровно с введением скейлинга. Потому что раньше его функция была дать получше шмот на капе. И, в принципе, предоставить все инсты на капе. Сейчас так это не нужно. Также LFR как-то переработать, убрать его как отдельную сложность, сделать нормал через LFG, допустим. Вот как-то так. Оптимизация. Тут понятно, оптимизация всегда хорошо. Деноминатор, так это я вырезал. Просто сократить валюты, голды. Мега-сервера. Это очень важный пункт. У меня остается всего 1,5 минуты. Мега-сервера что такое? Надо объединить сервера. Если в актуале с этим еще, в принципе, терпимо жить, тот же Ясневый лес, у него такой не очень популярный сервер. У него есть на нем есть рейдящие гильдии, они хорошо рейдят. Закрывают митик, все дела. На классике это полный пиздец, там нет ничего среднего. Там либо твой сервер популярен, либо он мертв абсолютно. И поэтому это надо даже в классике водить. Не в личе, наверное, но где-то в катаклизме, если он будет. ПВЕ торговцев. ПВЕ торговцев, как в ПВП торговцев. Новая профессия, при распределении старых профессий. Надо перетрясти как-то профессии, потому что еще с Дренора они как-то хромают очень сильно. У нас забрали бонусы от профессий, ничего не дав взамен. В Дреноре их вообще убили. Легионе там на них были завязаны квесты, но это только бесило, потому что ты не мог прокачать профессию, не делая квесты. В ФА были, в принципе, мощные предметы, потом про это забросили просто. Миф плюс переработать. Так, ну это я переписал тот пункт про обновление геймплея, потому что у меня там был на полчаса один сам по себе. В общем-то, все. Реворк репутации, то, что я не написал в сценарии. Были бонусы в Пандаре за прокачку, то есть на альтах можно было быстрее качать. Можно было качать раньше табардой. Я бы хотел, чтобы что-то такое вернулось. Чтобы на твинках было полегче качать репу. То есть не надо шарить ее на аккаунт, но чтобы полегче было качать, то окей. Вот как-то так. Все, остается 10 секунд. Ждем. Так, синематика, я так понимаю. Нет, это рекап какой-то. Какие-то совсем рандомные кадры, типа из синематиков, из роликов, просто внутриигровых. Какой-то ребенок просто. Почему кадры с Близкона? The next chapter of our adventure starts now. Угу. Здорово. Так, ну если она тут, значит, Личкин классик точно анонсирует. Скорее всего, даже его представят первым. Прям можно сделать какую-то тень там, типа того.
But first, I want to thank our community for all the feedback you've given us this year, and especially our community council. You've helped shape and influence the updates that we've done recently and what you're going to see in the upcoming year.
I mean, really, for Shadowlands in particular, the story of the last 9 months or so of this expansion is all about the community, and it's shaped by what we've been hearing from them, and us realizing as a team that we just collectively needed to do a better job of making sure the community felt heard. And so that led us to the changes we made in 9.1.5, but also really re-examining some of the assumptions and
Он говорит, типа, ну мы вроде как послушали, типа, что-то там сделали, привет, привет.
And mains versus alts, or how catch-up should work, or the appropriate role of friction in our systems. And I think
Мне кажется, он лысеет постепенно от этой работы. От отзывов фанатов.
And we really built our Eternity's End content update from the ground up around those principles.
What are some of the things that the community said that influenced your decisions for Eternity's End?
Things like the method and pacing of acquisition of the Covenant Legendary item, tons of tuning, and I think every step of the way,
говорит, по последние успехи.
we were listening to make sure that we were carrying forward those lessons learned in the course of 9.1.5 into Eternity's End.
Мы слушаем игроков, бла-бла-бла.
WoW Classic was really came about because of the community.
Yeah, they continue to help guide and support us.
Надо репетитором по английскому работать. Да, я такой перевожу бла-бла-бла, вот это бла-бла-бла, ебать Росаку.
And we are in a lot of ways curators and caretakers of that journey and of that experience. And so once this classic community formed and grew, we had to listen to them.
It's this tide of listening to the community and paying attention to what is a good experience.
Ну, это уж, кстати, так старье что-то. Хотя, наверное, тут просто освещение говёное. Это же не студия, это просто какая-то комната. Ну, как обычно, просто болтология по поводу того, как мы отлично работали в прошлом. Как бы подводочка к анонсам. На самом деле, как по мне, совершенно бесполезные сегменты. Просто чтобы затянуть время. Season of Resident Sleeper. Обсуждают сообщения.
Yeah, and it continues like Burning Crusade Classic. We wanted to balance the Paladin seals between Horde and Alliance, so we made an addition there. We wouldn't have gotten there without the community's input.
Так, говорят про то, что изменили баланс паладинов с их печатями. Так что это наверняка намек на то, что в Личе будет много изменений. 90 онлайн, я думал, все уже расчевались Blizzard. Ну, как в случае с Noob Club'ом, никто не играет, но все срут. Господи, разочаровались, вернулись. Это обычный цикл. Куча народу. Основная прибыль, мне кажется, от Warcraft идет от тех людей, которые покупают аддон, подписку месяца, играют этот месяц, просто сваливают до следующего аддона. Серьезно, это лямов 9, наверное. Каждый аддон приходит. Так. Все ждут синематику, ну, конечно.
At the end of the day, the battle cry is for the Horde. It's not against the Alliance. It's not death to the Alliance. It's about pride in one's faction. And I think there's a way to preserve that and even strengthen that while giving players the ability to make the same choice we've seen the greatest heroes make time and time again.
Кросс-факция.
I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I never knew had a max level character in the other faction suddenly come out of the woodwork.
And then, you know, with these cross-faction groups, many of them are going to be diving into something new that we're doing to kind of cap off.
Интересно, что Джон Хайтсел зовут. Интересно, что он ведущий. Такое чувство, что он выше Хэви Кост стоит, что ли. Видимо, реально. Он вроде повышен был недавно, или типа того. И вполне возможно, что он будет следующим директором Вовы после Хазикоста. И Хазикост вскоре вполне может уйти.
Really cool stuff for modern WoW players. I'm super excited about the gear upgrades that you're going to give me and the chance to go back and play some of those awesome raids.
There's a lot to explore. Very exciting.
For our next adventure in World of Warcraft, we're going to go back to Azeroth. We're going to a space with high fantasy. I mean, our fans of Azeroth for a long time. This has been kind of the foundation of much of the lore of WoW. So, without further ado, let's watch the cinematic.
О, синематик. Наконец-то. Так, сейчас будет синематик, который или Корок, или кто там зачитывал. Это будет, конечно, 10 тысяч лет назад. Так. Так, это Assassin's Creed Origins? Нет, это реально след синематик, что ли? Господи, зачем смотрел этот стрим? Я не помню, у кого этот ролик просматривался. Хотя вроде не похоже. Это что, 1000 игл? А, опять спрятали земли, понятно. А, переводи, ну они спрятали земли дракона, я так понимаю, от легиона, как сделал Шаухаус Пандарей. И тут какие-то статуи Зевса. Ну, типа создание титанов, очевидно. Ой, мелодия с классики прям какая-то. И столько ждали. 10 тысяч лет. Ой, это уебало оторвало. Что-то не так. Так. Это что-то с черными драконами? He lost his friend. Oh. Да им всем ебало поотрывали. Жесть. Ну спасибо, что это синематик. Да. Че, Гневион сейчас будет? Ripstone Man Second. What happened to woman? Не, все мертвы. Видимо, что-то произошло с островом этим, я хз. Что-то драконом вообще забили на свою землю, судя по всему, если это драконьи острова. Это сцена из Тора, ой, из этого Мстителей финал. Ой, не финала, блин, с Войны Бесконечности, где Тор закрывал эту штуку. Нет, ему сейчас тоже ебало оторвет. Ой. Ебаный брат. Опа. Экстра посла. Надеюсь, тут переводить не надо, тут слов нет. Да, все, драконы. Тут как тут. Прилетели орлы, как в «Властелине колец». Ну-ка, дуки какие-то. Я так понимаю, тут какая-то римская архитектура будет. Летающие острова, как на Гранде. Ну, они реально хотят, чтобы все поиграли в этот аддон. На логотипу слили. Походу, я так понимаю, вот это все правда. Да. Окей.
Dragons! This is so cool.
No one saw it coming.
No one saw it coming. Carefully kept secret. But seriously, I mean, what did we just see there?
The awakening of the Dragon Isles, the return of dragons, the dawn of a new age. We've seen Ralston searching for his father's legacy, searching for
Проснулся остров, возвращение драконов, Гневион искал драконьи острова.
The beacon going off, is that summoning the dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the Dragon Isles from the world, but also.
Блин, если будет зона как 1000 игл старая, блин, это топ. Я так люблю старые 1000 игл.
Locales within the Dragon Isles?
Yes, the Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of
Ух ты.
5 zones, 4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone that we'll get to in a second.
Can you talk a little bit about how the team found ways to thread the dragon aspects throughout the environments?
The Dragon Isles are a place that is lush and primal, bursting with elemental energy. As Azeroth herself reawakens, those primal forces are expressed throughout the environment, whether it's magma activity, volcanic activity, whether it's the icy wastes of the Azure Span, and each one of those has a connection to a Dragonflight that we've seen before. And it's going to be an amazing place for players to arrive at and explore.
All right, you know I'm going to ask.
Yes, okay, so
Can I be a dragon?
let's start getting into some features here and what Dragonflight means for you as well as just a
Ну,
place.
типа стихии пробуждаются, потому что
First
озера
off, yes,
пробуждаются.
an all-new
Там
playable
магма,
race,
снег.
the Drakthir race.
Yeah.
This
Новая
is
раса.
a dragon, a draconic race, but dragons in Warcraft have the ability to take on a human.
Как же они убого
What
выглядят.
classes can they be?
They have
1080 не тащит,
human
блин,
abilities
печально.
as literally a dragon. That doesn't quite fit any of our existing classes. And so what we're doing is this is not just a new race, but it's also a new class.
Что?
Adding a new race to World of Warcraft, and not just an allied race, is something that we don't do lightly. But telling this expansion, this story, so focused around dragons, felt like the perfect time for it. So if you were a Drakthir, you will be the evoker class. Drakthir can only be evokers can only be Drakthir. And the reason why
Короче, будет
only
новая раса,
Drakthir
но она
are
может быть
evokers
только одним
is that
новым
an evoker
классом.
is really combining the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects with the unique physical gifts that a Drakthir has. The ability to actually take flight and do an Onyxia-style strafing deep breath over the battlefield, land on the other side,
Что-то такое в
knock
Потсе
everyone
было.
back with a wing buffet, and then unleash your magical abilities.
Yes, please.
The Evoker has two specializations. They're a hybrid of either range DPS or healer. And they
Рейндж,
work with
ДПС и
armor.
хилер
You know,
одновременно?
hero classes we've added over the years. We have enough melee. We don't need more
Во-первых,
of
новый
those.
РДТ класс
And
наконец-то
also, I don't
спек.
need any more leather wearers.
The
Впервые за
Raiders
историю
are gonna
игры.
love you for that.
Exactly. This is
Во-вторых, он
definitely
еще и
hero
гибридный с
class.
хилером, это как
So
ДК
that
в
means that,
Личе.
like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're
Тейт,
gonna
значит, не
start
будет
their journey
сокращения
into the
уровней.
Dragon Isles as opposed to
Спасибо.
the rest of us that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
Can you talk a little bit about the customizations? Like what is going to be able to identify my Drakthir character?
Basically anything and everything. You know, skin color, hair color, jewelry,
Господи.
tattoos, other adornments. You can make this character the expression of
Они
who
так
you are.
уморительно выглядят. Я не знаю вообще.
New class.
Yep.
К ним будет сложно
race.
привыкнуть.
Well, tell us about some of the system updates or features.
Систем,
Of
да.
course, the new expansion brings with it, you know, new systems, new features. I think in recent expansions, one of the things we've tended to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind
Так.
as we moved on. And we've heard loud and clear from
Да.
players that, you know, it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion by leaving a large part of your character behind,
Да.
a large part of your progression.
Никаких взаимных
So
сил.
this time around, what we're doing is really pouring all of our energy into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements to World of Warcraft's core systems.
Да.
Like our progression systems, in this case, our talent system is something that we want to completely revamp.
Аккаунт
Take a
систем.
look at our
Так,
UI.
интерфейс новый
We wanna
показали.
Take a look at professions.
So with the talent revamp and the arrival of Classic, did you learn anything about how our talents
Дизайн
work?
геймплея.
I think
Да,
seeing the new
обязательные
generation of
силы.
players
Да.
play with those talents and work through those talent trees really underscored some of the things that frankly we lost when we shifted to the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond.
Да,
A
там
big
это
piece of
навет.
that was some of just the granularity, the feeling of getting a level and spending
Спасибо,
a point
Николас,
to
что
customize your
заспойлерил
character
всё.
to make yourself a bit better in some specific way. But
Вот
also,
оно.
you know, that sense of hybridity that you could have, that's something that we've largely lost. And so the new talent system avoids directly pitting player power throughput choices directly against those sort of utility hybrid choices, because we know that there's always a right
Ну, по
outcome there.
таланту останутся.
And we also
Как есть.
understand that, you know, there's a lot of strength in the flexibility of the modern talent system to let players customize their talents for a particular encounter or for dungeons versus PvP, and we don't want to lose any of that.
So John, UI?
Oh my God.
UI, да, обновят.
Yes, I got this 30-inch monitor trying to keep track of where I am on the map, all my buffs, and over here, what's going on in chat.
Ну да, это проблема,
It has
я уже говорил
literally
перед
made
этим.
my eyes go like this. So,
And you're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes and additions over the years, but really this is a revamp. This is an overhaul. And so
Полная
we're
переработка
excited
интерфейса.
to really modernize the look and feel while staying true to the origins of World of Warcraft. Now, at the same time, we're not looking to take away the sort of power user customization there. Add-ons are still there if you want them, but we want a much better default out-of-the-box experience for all players, new and old alike.
and can I reduce elements, remove elements if I want to explore the
Так.
world and see the beauty of Azeroth?
Ух ты.
Comes to specific elements, as much as possible, we want to let players
А, то есть,
choose
видимо,
what
можно
to
будет
show,
классический
hide,
интерфейс
so
поставить.
they can control
Какое-то время,
themselves.
видимо, его
You
сохранят.
mentioned professions. I have a critical question about
Так,
this.
профессии.
Go on.
Can I wear a chef's hat?
Yeah, I knew it.
Our approach to professions in Dragonflight is really all about delivering on fantasy and identity as a crafter. And so, if you want to be a serious blacksmith, if you want to be a
Ух ты.
great leather worker, we want to deliver the ability
Ух
to
ты.
invest time and energy into that, become a master crafter, be able
О.
to make items that are in demand, interact with the community. One of the big pieces that we want to do to support that is a new work order system to have a bit more convenience than just spamming trade chat all day. But if you are someone, you're not yourself a blacksmith, but you have a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats, offer a commission, and a skilled blacksmith can come along and make you the weapon of your dreams.
О, это
I think I
прикольная
left
тема.
out one thing, though.
То есть можно заказать будет себе какое-нибудь оружие на аукционе или типа того.
What's the fantasy
Те
of
откликнутся и
dragons if
сделают.
not soaring over the lands? And so we're really excited to introduce a feature that we're calling dragon riding. It's dynamic with, you know, everything from momentum to dive bombs, the ability to, you know, just sort of build that speed up and feel the world rushing past you in a way that should be much
Это что,
more
улучшение
exciting than
полетов?
traditional flight that we've made available in the past, but that's also available for players through a customizable dragon mount right from the start.
So
Не-
this is a skill you
Полеты
can
со
learn
старта?
over time, right, to become an awesome dragon rider.
Yes, you'll be able to sort of upgrade aspects of your flight, but you will have this new form of flight from the start. And the dragon companion that you have is, of course, very thoroughly customizable, which is a new
Ух ты,
new
вот
thing
это
for
рыцарь.
mounts. This is
Прикольная
not
броня.
just a generic dragon that everyone has, but a drake that is yours. You know, what do you want its scales to look like, horns, the shape
Короче,
of its
будет дракон
tail,
по
other
типу артефакта в
armor
плане
pieces,
скинов.
and more. Take your pick.
Типа он будет твой, но там будет куча скинов.
So yes, the Dragonflight expansion is going to see players leveling to 70, going to the all-new continent of the Dragon Isles, which consists of 5 zones, 4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone for our Drakthir class, as well as a range of systems revamps, such as a new talent system, an overhaul and update to our UI, and an entirely fresh look at professions, with more depth than ever before. Also getting around the Dragon Isles is going to come in the form of dragon riding, which lets you customize and upgrade your own mount so that you can fly in a sense from the start. And of course, as with any new expansion, we have a new set of dungeons, a raid, and much more to come.
We also have an alpha that will be starting up in the future.
Check out our website for more
In the
information. and
future.
keep an eye out for
Давайте
opt-in
сейчас.
signups if you want
Сейчас.
to help us test out Dragonflight and give us even more feedback to make it better.
We do have a deep dive that follows this, so please stay around. Classic players, we haven't forgotten about you. You could probably guess where we're going to go next. One of the all-time favorite expansions for World of Warcraft. Let's watch the cinematic.
Еще раз снимать ключа смотреть. Ну, понятно, Личкин классик. Пока скрою.
My son, the day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas.
Интересно, какие изменения там будут.
To an end.
Вот ФГ со старта может.
You shall be king.
Classic and Adventure Continues. 22. Ну, в конце года, да, как ожидалось.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Every time I see the
35 альбом.
cinematic, I get chills. No pun intended, I get chills. As you saw, Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming this year. It brings back so many memories. When you see
Она так
that
любит кожаные
cinematic,
куртки.
what do you remember from Wrath of the Lich King?
В
Anytime you
принципе,
wanna
прикольно
talk
выглядит.
about undead frozen dragons, how can you not go back to Sindragosa as the source? That was the first expansion I played with my youngest son. So I can remember on that platform, black goo and, you know, chunks of ice falling off and having to repeat that battle with the Lich King. But when we finally downed him, it was such an incredible moment. He jumped up out of his room and I jumped up out of my office. We're like, yeah, did it. So it's a very lasting tale for me.
So as you know, with this expansion, you will, in pre-patch, be able to play the Death Knight. They will start at level 55. You don't have to have a high-level character to make a Death Knight, so everyone will be able to make one.
Так, ДК в припатче, и не надо будет иметь перса 55 левела. Кто угодно может создать.
And there are
Ожидаю
so
миллионы
many zones and
ДК,
areas
просто
to
миллиарды.
explore in Northrend. and I want us to talk about some of our favorites. So for me, Grizzly Hills has a very special place in my heart. The music was some of the best I've experienced in World of Warcraft.
I still make my way all the way up to Storm Peaks to try and find the time-lost Protodrake and have yet to get it.
I've got to say Dragonflight. The wide open nature of the zone, Wormrest Temple in the center of it, it's an unforgettable expansion as both a developer and a player, and kind of making that transition from one to the other.
Now let's talk about some changes. So one thing we looked at is Dungeon Finder, and it feels like how we envision Classic, Dungeon Finder is not a good fit for our community.
That was kind of the first step that may have eroded some of that social fabric. Now, as people have gone through the experience of going back to vanilla, rebuilding those groups, relying on each other, not wanting necessarily a random participant just to show up and then leave.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But today,
По-моему, наоборот, все хотят ЛПГ назад.
in Dragonflight, it's a self-selected group of people who specifically want that different experience.
Yes.
Let's make sure that's what we continue to give them.
That leads right into arena teams in Burning Crusade Classic. So we listen to the community and we remove that because individual rating is preferable and a better experience for them than arena teams. Also, with Wrath of the Lich King, Barbershop, which allows you to customize
Далее
your
от арена
character.
Тимы.
We're going to be adding a few more options that were not existing when Wrath launched.
Так,
But also
в парикмахерской
there's another
было
side of
больше
it
опций.
where we are not going to charge a real money fee. It was a paid character customization fee, right?
Yeah.
It seems the right thing to do that just be available in game for gold and we add more options to it, right?
It's sort of like spell batching in a sense. There's a lot of technical advancements, and it's not about the philosophy of what makes Classic classic and what brings people together. It's just what's the better experience, and let's not artificially restrict something that we can provide a better version of just for the sake of nostalgia. And we're happy to say this is one of those cases.
So, Wrath, the level cap's being increased to level 80, so we'll be introducing a level 70 boost so that players who want to get in with their friends or just explore Northrend
уровень
right away will
70
be able
буст.
to do that.
Не
You
пис- не
can't afford
68-й
it
даже.
tonight, but you will be able to use it otherwise. And of course, we have Inscription, a whole new profession, so we're really excited about that. Yeah, and as we continue this road to Wrath, we're going to be looking to getting a lot more feedback on beta, and we'll make changes as we need to.
Я не понял по поводу
Such an
ЛПГ.
exciting time to be playing World of Warcraft. We have the return of the Wrath of the Lich King for classic fans, and taking us somewhere new with Dragonflight. We're so excited to be able to bring these adventures to you. Don't forget, there's a deep dive on Dragonflight where you're going to get a lot more information. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and we'll see you in Azeroth.
And we'll see you in Northrend.
And in the Dragon Isles.
Так, дипдайв, отлично.
Hi there. Welcome to the Dragonflight Deep Dive. I'm Steve Denuser.
And I'm Taryn Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting and the story of Dragonflight.
We've got this great expansion, exciting pre-render trailer that everyone just watched. So let's talk about the setting for Dragonflight, the Dragon Isles.
Так, сейчас
Dragon
сеттинг.
Isles have been known for a long time in Warcraft history as a mysterious place where the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
We're going to this place that is kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they nested, where they built their civilization. The Dragon Isles was the center of the Dragon's kingdom when the world was young and the mortal races were just starting to form kingdoms of their own. But when the Legion invaded for that War of the Ancients, that sundering that resulted from the explosion of the Well of Eternity, broke the world.
Literal sundering of the continents of Azeroth.
And because of the breaking of the world, that magic kind of drained away and the land went dormant. So they had to leave the Dragon Isles behind. And as we saw in the pre-render, they left behind some Titan Watchers to look over the land. And when someday they hoped that elemental energy would resurge once again and draw the dragons home, reestablish their kingdom.
And that's when the message goes out to the flights and they feel it in their bones.
Now it's
Походу,
the time
ЛПГ не
for
будет,
the
насколько я
sky to
понимаю,
light up
печатан.
with the colors of the aspects once
Это
again, and
печально.
for Alex Straza and the others to come home. But
Кого они
the land has
слушают?
changed a
Все
lot
хотят
in all these
ЛПГ.
thousands of years they've been away, and some very old
Находить
threats
через
have
чат
awakened as
чуваков
well.
это полный
Looking into the
посос.
culture of dragons as they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons as we know them today were very different in the early past, the early history of Azeroth. They were much more primitive, much more savage, what we now know as proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons were empowered to become the aspects. The green flight, red flight, blue flight, bronze flight, black flight, each with unique powers, each with the ability to protect the world in different ways. These pillars of draconic power.
Тут, короче,
appointed
про
to
драконов
defend
объясняет,
Azeroth
как они
from threats
возникли.
within and without.
Dragons used that power both for good, in the case of most of the aspects, but also for nefarious reasons, in the case of the Black Dragonflight, led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will find in Dragonflight is that some of these ancient divisions run deep. And so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be the protectors, as the cinematic mentioned, that they once were.
To do that, they're going to need the help of our heroes, our players, to come to the Dragon Isles
Ну,
with
типа
them,
драконы хотят
face
вернуть
some
свою
of these
силу или типа
reawakening
того.
challenges, because it's not just that this land is peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well.
Yeah.
One of those being a race of kind of elemental half-giants, the Jarden.
The Dragon Isles isn't just populated by dragons or just by the Jarden. There's also many
Что-то
other
похоже на Пандарию,
continents
типа, ну тут
here
будут
in the
какие-то
Dragon Isles
местечковые
that we've
враги,
either just recently or for a while.
зеленые мамонты.
Fan favorite
Мамонты — это
coming
круто.
back, Tuskar.
That's going to be awesome. We've got other cultures
Тускары
as
вернутся?
well in the Dragon Isles. We're going to find out about a civilization of centaurs that predates the ones that arose on Kalimdor much later.
And some of our favorite
Кентавры.
characters that we've seen over the last few expansions, such as Rathian.
And whether he's ready to step up into a leadership role, or if there are other alternatives out there that would be better suited to the job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
I think one thing the players are going to be really excited about this expansion is the new playable race, the Drakthir.
That's right.
And this is something that Neltharion, before he was Deathwing, before he went full crazy world dragon, that
Мишка
he
пообещал, что стоять не ляжет.
Neltharion saw those primalists
Ладно, он
that were kind
загрузился.
of breaking away from the aspects and what they wanted. And so, in those first experiments, he took the essence of dragons, their strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that
Нет,
adaptability that
неправильно.
mortal races had.
Одна
And he wanted
локация
to
будет для
use that to
прокачки
create
новой расы.
the ideal soldier in his mind, the Drakthir. Exploration is really one of the key themes of this expansion. We're going to be going to this
Кольчуга — это
ancient
хорошо.
place that the dragons left behind long ago. So we've made these huge zones with all
Да,
kinds of
вот эта
places to
локация.
delve into
Обожаю.
and find little treasures and little secrets tucked away. It's going to be a lot of fun for players to be exploring these landscapes.
And there's so much architectural history and how clearly aspirational was the kingdom of the dragons and how it lost
Покажут
so
улитку?
much. And the themes of trying to return to that, to try to find your legacy, to try to figure out who you were before everything went awry. But there's questions, thematic questions of what does it mean to be true to your legacy? Are we going to repeat the mistakes of the past?
The dragons have had to learn those lessons just like the mortal kingdoms have had to. And I think that's one of the reasons why the dragons see this now.
Dragons, 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 dragons. Сколько нужен счетчик? Сколько раз они произнесли слово драконы?
So by using the Explorers League and the Reliquary together, that allows us to delve into some of that history.
And when I look upon the Dragon Isles in all of its visual splendor, I get so excited for the prospect of a truly Azerothian adventure alongside Calicos, along with
Блин,
Rathian,
установили модельку!
Ysera's daughter Marithra, as each one of
Неужели?
them trying to find their own flight. I am taken by the exploration and the potential for adventure and just new horizons within this world.
There's going to be old stories from that time past, that history that only the dragons knew for the longest time. We're going to be able to explore that.
It really feels like just a breath of fresh air.
So now we're going to turn things over to some of our colleagues who will take you on that deep dive into the locations and the features of Dragonflight.
Давай.
Hello,
Что?
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Josh,
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Gary.
and we're part of the teams that are building the first two zones that you'll encounter in the Dragon Isles, the Waking Shore and the Onaran Plains. The very first zone in Dragonflight you're going to come to is the Waking Shores. It's wild, untamed land It's waking up around you too, and the element
Похоже,
is going crazy.
тысячи иглы, Гаргронт.
has hit it out of the park.
You'll see like a lava mountain flowing in through the beach, giant proto-dragons swooping down, gobbling up members of your expedition.
We have such rife opportunities to show elementals rising up because of the crazy magic that's flying around.
The one of the things I love is just how you get to the Dragon Isles, right? So you're going to get on your boat in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the first thing you do is sail between like the dragon ruin architectures. The boats come right alongside each other. You can jump from one boat to the other and just start causing havoc on the other faction's boat.
For those who love PvP, this is a great opportunity for war mode.
It's free for all out there. It's going to be great. But it's okay. There's
На
a
кораблях
gatekeeper
плывем,
on it.
можно
So that
будет
if you're in that
до корабля
situation,
другой
you don't
фракции
wanna be in
прыгать.
war mode anymore, you can just hop out right there.
The Reliquary and the Explorers League are working together.
The Horde and Alliance are sending an expedition together. It's not the military, it's not the soldiers. This is the scientists, the settlers exploring this new land. So it's a lot more optimistic tone.
One of my favorite things
Блин,
about
это
the
классно,
Waking
что
Shores is
не
the
воины
WoW
будут, а
Dragonflight,
всякие
led by
исследовательницы,
Queen Alexstrasza, the Lifebinder.
исследователи,
They have
теле.
the mandate of
археологи.
nurturing and protecting all life, which means
Надеюсь,
Horde
будет
Alliance,
археология на Мадоне.
Warlocks, trolls, everybody. So
There's
they take
no
that
alliance to
seriously.
fight.
When the
Какое?
Horde and Alliance come to the Waking Shores, they want to be there to help guide the people through the new land and welcome them. But they're not the only one in the Waking Shores.
We have the ancestral home of the Black Dragonflight there too, which has fallen on tough times since Deathwing's descent. And so Rathian's coming over to the Isles with us, and he's going to try and come to terms with the state of the Dragonflight, which is a few loyal Draconids and Dragon Spawn trying to hold their ground. What can the future of the Dragonflight be if it's just Rathian? Because it's not just the dragons that are coming back to the Dragon Isles, but also their longtime rival, the Jarden.
I love the Jardins so much. They're half giants that wield the power of magma, and when
Новые
the
могу.
Shores and the Dragon Isles went to slumber, they also slumbered. They're back now, and they are ready to raise chaos.
Yeah, they're massive. They're riding giant lava mammoths, parading around, just stomping on your face.
And they were the enemies of the Dragonflight for so long. They fought against the Red Dragonflight, hunted dragons down, and they're really taking this opportunity to rise up. As the Red Dragonflight have the mandate of nurturing life, they don't want to just stomp out the Jarden completely, but they want to make sure that they don't have the power to affect those around them negatively, to make sure they don't go on a rampage and destroy the ecosystem that has been created here.
And so those are awesome things in the Waking Shore, but Steph, there really is only one right answer for the best thing in Waking Shores, right?
What?
This is true. Ducks.
We finally have
Ducks.
those webbed feet hooligans in our game. We cracked the technology.
They
We've
can
got them
figure
in.
it out. They
Они
can fly.
плавают.
Proud.
Thank you.
It's gonna be awesome.
The Onaran Plains come right after the Waking Shores. It's so breathtaking at first glance.
The Onaran plains are big, wide open plains. And the player is going to be constricted a
Спускаем
little
беседу
bit until
работяги.
you see this big contrast of a zone. We don't always get that opportunity, that cinematic moment where the player can have a framed view when they see this area.
Come out and you got that postcard shot
love
of the
that.
plains. And then you see this giant fire proto-dragon breathing fire and a herd of centaur like harpoon down the proto-dragon and crash into the ground. And the first thing you get to do is go help them kill the proto-dragon. Like how cool is that?
Who is Onara?
Onara is the wild god of the wind. And she's appeared before as
Древний
like this
бог.
big spirit eagle. She's the one who guided the centaur to the Dragon Isles many, many years ago. She blessed them, took their caravan across,
There's the Kmal.
showed them the plains.
How fun at the beginning of this expansion was exploring the culture of the centaur.
The centaur are these mighty, awesome hunters that back when they first came to the Dragon Isles, they fought the green dragons all day long. Eventually they realized that we're strong, you're strong, maybe we should stop decimating each other's people.
Гребаная
They agreed to
варзона.
make an agreement. You guys hang out in the groves, and the centaur will hang out in the plains. But now the dragons have been gone for 10,000 years, and the centaur have come so far since then. And they've been here, and they've been existing and developing their culture. They all came over as one clan, led by the mighty Maruk and Tira, and they founded a new life here. So if you want to get across, you have to follow their rules and their traditions. You have to earn their trust. You are the first outsiders to come in generations upon generations. The centaur might rule the open plains, but the green dragons make their home in the groves. And those groves are absolutely gorgeous.
And how great a job it is that we have where I can take all of this beautiful artwork and build these beautiful
Tower of Ducks.
fantasy groves, high fantasy.
Ducks.
We want to do lots of things with
Да,
the
утки
open
понравились
plains. We
всем.
want to be creative with that, but we're restraining ourselves by letting the zone sing, letting
Мне нравится, что опять
rise
гористая
above
местность.
it.
Ну сколько
We certainly
можно?
could've done that in the vanilla
Сколько
WoW.
можно эти горы пихать? Ну
The zones are so
сколько
big,
можно?
you can see so far, especially in Onaran Plains. So we talked
Я
to
хочу
engineers,
просто
and we actually
поле.
increased that distance.
Где толбуки
Spurs
ходят.
you on to want to adventure and look through the zone and explore everything.
The interesting thing for me is we have all these conflicts with the dragonflights. There's missing dragons, there's battles, there's so much crazy stuff happening, but that's not really all we're doing. There's so much extra fun activities for people to do. And the greatest thing is that you need to figure out exactly what's going on and help solve all the problems that are just sprouting up everywhere.
We're just really excited to tell a story that's grounded in Azeroth and exploration. There's so much more to talk about. But now we're going to have some folks talking about the next two zones that players are going to experience in the Dragon Isles.
Почему это объясняют разные люди? Азерспан, Талдразус.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate.
I'm Christy.
I'm Kate.
I'm Sean. We're going to talk today
Шон.
about Valdras's
Почему я думал, что его так и зовут?
So Azerspan is going to be the third
Такой
zone
чуткий
that players
пацанчик
enter
сидит.
through, and it's one of our biggest zones that we've done in the Dragonflight, maybe even to date.
We knew it was going to be like the largest visual elevation change, and it really started with this great concept art. When we first were taking a look at the design, we kept coming back to one of our favorite Wrath zones, which was Grizzly Hills. And we really wanted to take that, but wowify it more. And I don't know if you've ever been up to the Bay Area, but in the morning, that coastal fog comes in and dips down into the redwoods and that sun shines through. That's really what we wanted to encapsulate with this forest. And not only we have
Ну,
redwoods,
ладно,
but
как
we've
седые
got all
холмы.
different types of trees. Eventually, it'll
Но если тут не
break
будет
open
гор,
into this wide open tundra that's just golden and
ну, это не
red,
считается.
and you'll reach up to another level of elevation where you get to see the snow. The majority of the zone is covered in snow and
Не,
ice.
another
Giant
low
frozen
elevation, значит,
waterfalls, ice rivers as
будут
far as the eye
перепады
can
высот,
see. And Sean and I know
сука.
in the forest we can expect our first creatures.
We
Love
have a
Ducks
folk
and
group that
Movements.
lives there called the Knolls. These Knolls are all
Go
throughout
back
the
to
forest of
Ducks.
Azerspan. They've made this their home. Some Knolls with strange magic that we're going to find out what exactly
О,
that's
гнолы.
about. Snow Knolls, or as I call them, the Snolls, up in the winter area. And then some regular Knolls that are just going to be around the forest area. So then we go into the big open tundra where we meet our second group, the Tuskar.
It's going to be really neat to explore their culture a lot more.
And those kids are adorable. I absolutely love the Tuskar. Honestly, all my downtime is probably just me hanging out with
Да,
the Tuskar.
Пускара на каждой пиратке или ча, как раса есть. Все их любят.
Nice, cool upres for their models, along with expanding their culture. So there are going to be male Tuskar, female Tuskar, Tuskar kids. So we're going to fight alongside them, which includes help from a certain group of dragons, the blue dragons. We're going to follow the story of Kalagos.
Неужели бы обновили модельку? Какой он секси стал. Это челка. Ля. У него с БК моделька до сих пор. С БК. Ее не обновили ни в Катаклизме, ни в Легионе, или где он там еще участвовал.
Perfectly intact, it's beautiful, it's pristine. It is the seat of power.
Еще один Арденвельд.
And
И пики Арака.
It feels that way with the huge vertical mountains.
Все эти сравнения такие себе, на самом деле. Я еще с Легиона постоянно сравниваю локации. Но они всегда выглядят самобытно.
There's so many cool story hooks that we could dig into there. There's so many cool gameplay options. And we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
We really wanted it to feel like their old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features is going to be the main city and
Кого-то она мне напоминает.
Valdraken. It is a culmination of all of the dragon's efforts to put together what a city would look like. So we ended up having a bunch of vignettes where you see that the blue Dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green Dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenience services for players, including an auction house in the city, which will be really nice if you're looking for more exotic wares.
В новой столице будет аукцион.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And this is a 10,000-year-old
Я в шоке.
Tierhold has these awesome aqueducts that actually come out from the structure all the way to the city across the valley. And in the cinematic, there's just this amazing shot where you see Alexstrasza swoop under one of them, and there's splashes of water cresting across her wings. So when players are flying around themselves, they get to have their Alexstrasza moment. What an incredible place, and filled with so much history.
Tyrhold was built by Tyr. He was a Titan Keeper back in the day who helped the Aspects fight Galakrond. And when they settled on the Dragon Isles, he built this facility. And even though Tyr's gone, the dragons have held him in reverence. But that was 10,000 years ago, and they've let the Titans maintain the place. An incredible amount of history has happened since then. Lights have been nearly wiped out. There have been invasions, betrayals. Aspects have died. And these are the kind of things that leave marks on a society. So now they're all back here, and they're all here together.
As we were designing the zone and the city itself, we're trying to figure out, how do we tell those stories at the same time as making sure that this is a really convenient place for players to go and, go shopping, as they tend to do. So much adventuring happening on the Dragon Isles.
It's so cool.
As a player, you probably don't have your own dragon wings. You are going to learn the art of dragon riding.
It's so vertical, and I'm just excited to dive off the tops of towers and swoop under things.
It's actually one of the things that we're about to learn about next.
Драчер, Волкер.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm Andy.
I'm Kali.
And I'm Graham. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about the Dracthyr Evoker, our new race and class coming in Dragonflight.
We're here to talk about not only the Evoker, but also dragon riding, which is our exciting expression into the exploration of the Dragon
Сейчас
Isles.
про класс сразу. И драконьи полеты.
You play a dragon. Not a big dragon, Alexstrasza size. That'd be tough to fit into raids. I'm sorry, Jake. Okay. I know.
Fine.
But a draconic humanoid. So the Dracthyr, created by Neltharion.
And like our other hero classes, you get to choose if you want to start on the Horde or Alliance side on character creation.
So let's talk a little bit about the Evoker, the class they can be. What's unique about it is because the Dracthyr are created by an aspect, they have the ability to use magic of all 5 Dragonflights. So Evokers can take advantage of red magic and blue magic and bronze magic.
Нет!
We created a visual, what we call a prismatic effect. This prismatic effect is basically the coalescence of all their energy as they channel it into whatever spell that they're going to cast. You have a red magic spell called Pyre. So when you shoot it out of your mouth, it twirls in the air with all 5 of the Dragonflight's magic as it turns into the red spell before landing on your enemies and exploding and hopefully burning them.
I'll take that one. Getting that vibe across that they use all 5 was really important to us, but we did want to make sure that each specialization focused on 2, because casting 5 different colors gets a bit messy. So their damage dealer specialization, their first of 2, Devastation, mostly focuses on red and blue magic. Red being very fast and explosive, burning everything with Pyre, whereas blue is more focused and overwhelming. You can shoot a beam of energy out of your mouth to disintegrate one single enemy in front of you.
There's a healer spec called Preservation. The healer spec is going to focus mostly on your green and your bronze magic. So your green is going to be evocative of the Emerald Dream, your growth and your nurturing spells. And then you have your bronze magic, which is going to be more timey-wimey. So you get to heal a wound faster.
Timey-wimey.
In addition to the visuals and the animation, which all make you feel very powerful, we really wanted the player to have a physical connection to the cast. We have a new type of spell called Empower, where when you actually hold down the button on your keyboard, it charges up the spell. The longer you charge it up, it might do more damage or hit more targets depending on the spell. But it gives
Типа,
you
если ты зажимаешь кнопку,
connection and control.
то другой эффект будет.
Really good.
Либо усиление, либо больше целей.
You love it, Andy.
Не знаю, как это скажется на самом деле.
You can actually fly around the battlefield and cast while you
Такие обилки хороши в сингл-играх. А тут будет лак и все дела.
In addition to the gameplay, though, another part of feeling draconic is looking like a dragon.
Well, we talk about dragons breathing fire, but you know what's actually fire?
What's actually
These
fire?
customizations.
Oh my goodness.
But no, they're really, really
They're
cool.
awesome.
Because you have both your draconic form and your humanoid form. And the customization options for both of them.
Блин, они так потешно выглядят.
Very good.
What about color? Just tell me you
tell
can
us about
change
the
the color.
You can do a lot of matching. So your visage form can have scales that are the same color as your Dracthyr form.
But my favorite, super favorite part of customization for the visage form, hair.
Yeah.
Because I can actually do this in game.
Yeah.
The tech is here.
We finally did it.
As players make their way through each of the areas of the Dragon Isles,
Holy
they'll
cringe.
partner up with the Dragonflights to move through the air as they've never done before. You'll notice I did not say flying because flight has a very specific meaning for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it does.
And we're talking about something new called dragon riding.
And as the players are honing their dragon riding skills, they're going to get to see all new animations that go along with the different look and feel of the drakes.
We're aiming to shake up movement with this new system, providing players with a deeper immersion with forces like momentum and gravity.
We knew that for Dragonflight, we were going to have the opportunity to show players a whole new set of Dragon Isle drakes, completely unique from all the other things they've seen in World of Warcraft. And so we wanted to come up with a movement system that would add that sense of physics, weight,
Типа новая система полетов будет, там, в зависимости от гравитации, все такое. То есть нужно будет, видимо, ускоряться, летя вниз.
It was going to take the engineering team, who we rely on heavily, and that combined with some new animations really helps to lend that feeling of physics as you move through the air in ways that you haven't before. And the icing on the cake is going to be some really cool effects that we've added on top of all of that. So for example, when you start hitting, maximum velocity, you're going to see contrails coming off the edges of the wings. And then as you do your rolls and spirals, you build up more and more speed. There's going to be some screen effects on the display to indicate that you're reaching maximum velocity, which really adds to the overall kind of immersion and sense of reality.
As players make their way through the Dragon Isles, they'll discover new cosmetic options to fine-tune their Dragon Isle Drake's appearances. Things like snoots, horns, tails, elusive Dragon Isle Drake armor, and more.
Can I have spikes?
Кастомизация, да, все дела.
We want to provide players with all new skills to play with, as those who can use their momentum well can reach higher and higher heights, and bring on new, more difficult challenges.
We just have so many new, gorgeous options to choose from, and I'm just so excited for all of them.
I'm excited for the whole thing. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to work on, but I can't wait to actually get in the game, play it with you guys.
I can't wait. I can't wait to fly around Dragon Isles. It's gonna be great.
Next up, you're going to hear about the talent revamp and the UI changes coming in
О,
Dragonflight.
вот это интересно.
Hello, my name is Brian.
I'm Crash.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Laura. We are very excited to share your final
Что-то
revamping.
ей вообще похер, по-моему.
And it is also time for a major revamp to talents and specializations.
I have a big question for the group. How
Или
long
это
do you
он?
think it took for us to finally revamp
Оно.
the WoW?
Я не знаю.
My guess is like 15 years.
Close. 18 years. 18 years.
Wow.
You know, technology has changed a lot since we made the UI back in 2004. Now you have like bigger monitors, and us, we have better dev tools to work with. So
Как
it
я и
makes
сказал,
sense
большие
to have
мониторы.
the revamp right now. Also, if you look at the game today, the art evolved beautifully over the years. And if you look at the HUD looks like it got froze in time.
Причем
So when we
51
approached
уровень.
this, we wanted to create a layout experience that players could customize, move things around, adjust it to fit their needs.
Add-ons today, they do a lot for player customization.
The downside is that not everybody uses them.
Наверное,
It's
все-таки
not
она.
that everybody has
Я
the
думаю,
opportunity
она
to use them, that they become
характеризует
part of
себя
the
как
base
она.
UI.
Yeah, and we are working very closely with our user research team to make sure we are hitting the goals that our player needs.
Ой,
It allowed
осуждаю.
us to add new functionality, to improve accessibility in a lot of areas, and on top of that, we are going to be improving the art.
Yeah, so the
Ну,
art
скрой
is a
чат.
big part of this project. The UI that we have today has a lot of charm and personality, and players have been using that for 18 years. So with that in mind, we want to respect the players who really like the current UI, but do a modern take to it, removing the clutter and giving more visibility for your gameplay. So the new minimap, it looks bigger, and the health bar is also much bigger. If you look at the action bars and the bottom menus, they have less health frames, and you can really open up your gameplay, so you don't have a lot of your UI in front of you. And of course, we want to find iconic pieces from the current HUD, but we want to bring it back in a nice way. So we for sure updating the griffins. They look so nice now. And the
Я их все равно
more
уберу,
rewards
грифонов
we
этих.
got you. You're gonna have your version as well. So let's talk about the edit mode.
We are putting a mode in that will let players move various HUD elements around on the screen.
So I'm able to move the mini-map, say, from the right corner all the way over to the left corner. Or if I want to bring my action bars from
О,
the
можно будет
bottom,
двигать
kind of
элементы
more in the
интерфейса.
center by my character. Those are all things that I'll be able to do.
Absolutely. And each of those different components will have various sets of options that you'll be able to work with. they'll be able to save it, edit it, copy it, name it. Also, it'll remember which spec you're in. So if you're someone who
Короче,
jumps around a
бартендер,
lot,
да, минус,
as
это
you
все
switch, it will switch
больше
to
не
whatever
нужно,
HUD
по
layout you
сути.
have for that spec.
This is
Походу.
an ongoing project. We're gonna keep working on it. So we really want to hear back from you.
A project that we're all excited about that we've been collaborating a lot on is something that's pretty UI intensive, and that's the talent system.
It hadn't changed in a long time, like you said before, and we really started with how can we have players have more choice over what their character has?
As you level up, we give you a new spell or a new ability, something that kind of makes you stronger, but it's determined by the designers. We decide the order.
Yeah, we started looking for a system that would give players a much wider set of options.
And after looking at all those things, what we really returned back to was the idea of trees. But it's actually 2 trees. We have a class tree that offer different class utility, and then we have a spec tree that is focused on performing your role, whether that's damage, tank, or healing.
Can I just jump in and say that I personally am super excited about having trees come back. There's a big nostalgia hit for me.
As we said, we have these 2 trees because we feel like picking a specialization is a really important part of your World of Warcraft character now. And so we want to make sure that when you choose that, it kind of affects the tree in some way.
Yeah, as soon as you open your talent tree, you'll see something new. The class side will have some abilities filled out for free, just kind of starting you off in that spec you've chosen, but then you'll have your first point to spend in the class tree, which could be something related to that spec or role, or it could be something from elsewhere in the class.
There's a lot of things that we can do here, and part of that is encouraging players to perhaps make combinations that they've never really been able to see in the game before. This is an opportunity to put a lot more art and fantasy in
Опа, созыв духов будет.
You have seen that a lot through
Канвок, канвок, канвок.
We want you to be able to tinker with it.
One-shot,
We want you to
one-shot,
be able to make a
one-shot.
lot of changes at a lot of times and not necessarily have to commit. The power really is coming back to the player. It's not something we want people to feel locked into, and so one of the things that we'll be preserving is the ability to change these talents at the same kind of frequency that you do now.
Yeah, the old school players, when you see trees this time, just think, yeah, I'll go from my raid night to my arena match and figure out what I think is the best for both of those.
And that's a process we want to make really fluid. So we're building a save load feature that lets you create your build, name it, save it, and then load it up very quickly and freely.
Talents were really about the breadth of options. We've made all these different cool things over the years, but when are they at their coolest? It's when players can hold the building blocks of what can make up their class, their spec, and put them together in a way that works for them.
So these are really cool features that we've been working long and hard on, and we're very excited about them. And it's just an early preview of the things we've been doing. We can't wait to see the reaction that you have to them, and please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on them. And next up, we're going to talk about professions in Dragonflight.
Так, профессии. Ребамп.
Hi, I'm Joanna.
And I'm Eric, and we're going to talk about our plans for professions in Dragonflight. Professions have been a staple of World of Warcraft forever, and they've seen lots of really cool incremental updates over their life. But for Dragonflight, we want to do something a bit different. We really want to rethink professions and figure out how to make them part of your identity as a player, if that's what you want.
We really want to make sure that professions feel fun and relevant across all levels of gameplay.
That brings us to
Наверное,
our
можно
first
уже
update,
открыть.
something that we're calling crafting orders. If you want to have something crafted for you, but you don't have the skill or the right profession to do it for yourself, you can have it crafted
Хотя
through a
ладно.
crafting order. You can basically browse any of the recipes that can be crafted, pick the one you want for yourself, and then you include some or all of the reagents needed for the recipe, including ones that only you can get your hands on. You can find someone in person to do it right in front of you for you, or you can also go to an NPC and using an auction house-like interface, send the order out. If you're doing this, you can pick, do you want to send the order to anyone, sort of a public order, or do you want to only send it to your guild, or to a specific other player? Maybe it's a friend.
Да, можно будет делать заказы на шмотки для профессий. Профессий.
Really dedicated to
Тут
your
профессий.
craft, you're going to be the best at what you do.
One of the coolest things about this is the item you had crafted can also be soul-bound. In the past, you could only get your hands on crafted soul-bound items by having that profession yourself. Now anyone can have them crafted for them, which is really neat and really
Шмотки нельзя будет продавать, допустим, на аукционе, но можно будет сделать заказ
crafting.
Тогда эти шмотки будут вам доступны.
Also really cool because it means as a crafter, you can start building your client base. People are going to come back to you to get certain items. Maybe you're the best at making them.
Crafted
or you
quality,
can give
господи,
people
за
something
что?
extra. You're also going to be leveling up your profession. It's going to be really great.
So the first time you go to craft, you're gonna notice a lot of different things, but probably the biggest is the introduction of quality, both to your crafted items and your gathered reagents. Quality works in a pretty simple way. If you craft something that's a higher quality, it's just gonna be better. For a piece of gear, that probably means a higher item level. If it's, for instance, a potion, that might mean a more powerful effect at a higher quality.
And we're doing a lot of new things in the UI. We've put a lot of work into it to make sure that the professions feel really special and unique.
And another thing you might notice in the crafting UI that's new.
Блин, зачем они притащили из Shell фигню с прокачкой предметов, прокачкой рецептов?
Both crafting and gathering. And this is another sort of major input into quality. Probably the biggest source of your ability to craft items at a higher quality is through crafting specializations. We've had crafting specializations in the past, as far back as original World of Warcraft.
Так,
With
специализация.
Dragonflight, you can go out and earn specialization points in a whole bunch of different ways. So maybe you find an old book on a bookshelf in a ruin somewhere, or a hermit in a cave who can teach you a little bit about your profession. So let's say you're a blacksmith. You might decide that first you want to become an armor smith. And the more points you spend in armor smithing, the better you're going to get at crafting all armor.
This also means that if you specialize one way, other people in your guild may specialize in a completely different path. So this means that your guild could have several top blacksmiths and everybody's providing something unique and valuable to the team, which is really cool.
Now that reminds me of another update. We're actually adding crafting tables to all the different crafting professions. We're gonna take those and we're gonna put them all in the main city of Valdrakken. And you're gonna go in there and you're gonna get to see all the different players crafting their items at their cool crafting tables.
Yeah, it means you're going to walk into the city and you're going to see
Зачем
all
привязывать
these alchemists huddled over
столам?
here, and you're going to see all these blacksmiths over by the forge.
Зачем? Я не смогу себе скрафтить фласку во время рейда?
It's going to make you feel really part of the world.
It just seems like a much more
Ну зачем?
than it has in the past.
What I'm most excited about, though, is the gear. We're introducing new types of gear for every profession, and when you go to,
Это прикольно.
say, mine a node, you're actually going to just switch into that gear. It's going to be really great.
You're not gonna have to carry that stuff around in your backpack anymore. There's actually gonna be dedicated slots for each of your pieces of gear. But
Опа, будут слоты специальные
all
под это.
pieces of profession gear will have
Это
those
прикольно.
special stats that we mentioned before on them. And as you get your hands on better versions of the gear, it's really gonna help you get better at your profession.
I can't wait.
Thank you for tuning in to the Dragonflight Deep Dive.
You've heard a lot about the content and changes coming in Dragonflight, and we've got a lot more in store for you in the coming months.
Until then, we'll see you in Azeroth.
Все. Все. Реально час ровно. Where's the fishing? Что-то не очень много рассказали. Потому что зона готова, это, конечно, прикольно, но, блин. Ясненько. Шесть страниц. Это фейл, ну это фейл, даже напишу про это. Реклама циркуля. Ладно, на этом, по сути, все. Наверное, сделаю ролик. Не знаю, посмотрим, сколько мне лень будет. Все, до свидания.